What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another second stimulus check update and news report for Wednesday, November 18th. The news out today has not been the best news, as I'm sure you can realize and understand. The news lately has not been very uplifting, has not been great, but it is a telling sign of what is to come. So I want to break this down. During a press conference today, Nancy Pelosi gave some insight as to what has been going on between Congress, between her, Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell, Joe Biden. Nancy Pelosi today was reelected to be the Speaker of the House. She, in the House, they took a vote and she won. So Nancy Pelosi will be the Speaker of the House for the next 2 years. I know a lot of you are going to be upset by that, but that is the facts, and I'm here to provide the facts. Nancy Pelosi today was asked by a reporter, will you consider putting a COVID relief bill in the government funding bill? This is a question that a lot of people have been asking, and Nancy Pelosi finally addressed this. And she said that is a good question. And she went on a little bit of a tangent, but in less words than she used, Nancy Pelosi said no, that she would not want to put a COVID relief bill in the government funding bill, and that it doesn't come down to the amount of relief. And honestly, the numbers don't matter. She was adamant that this hasn't been a question of dollars. It was a question of what it would be spent on. Nancy Pelosi, she said no, she would not put a COVID relief bill in a government shutdown bill, in the government spending bill. However, many people are saying that this is most likely going to happen, and this could ultimately cause both bills to not get accepted and not be approved. However, when Nancy Pelosi started to say that it's not about the numbers, it's not about the dollar amount, it's about what that money would be spent on, she is simply going back to what Republicans have been saying for months. Republicans have been asking during the negotiation period between Steve Mnuchin and Nancy Pelosi that began months ago. They have been saying, let's just pass what has already been agreed upon, because we've figured out, okay, this is the amount, this is exactly how it's going to be, this is the language. Let's pass this. Let's move forward. Let's provide relief to those that are in dire need. And then we will come back and provide additional stimulus to the other sections, the other sectors, the other, parts of the economy that are currently struggling. Let's get everybody back up to where we once were, to pre-pandemic levels. And if this were to happen, which some people are saying this might be the only way forward, if this is to happen, this would include unemployment benefits, most likely anywhere from $300 to $450 per week, probably in the range of anywhere from 6 weeks to most likely 8 weeks. That's probably where it's going to be. This would also include school funding, most likely in the realm of $100 to $150 billion. It would include PPP funding for small businesses, and many expect that all that needs to happen here is just open up the doors for the existing funding that's currently available that's not being spent. If this happens, this should be an easy thing to agree on. And then also money for vaccines, testing, tracing, and treatments. This is what they're saying, that if we could just agree to pass these standalone bills, which Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are completely against, by the way. But at this point, Nancy Pelosi would rather Congress separate the stimulus package, the COVID relief bill, and the government spending bill, the omnibus bill that they are trying to work on right now. Nancy Pelosi stated that Congress's goal is to pass an omnibus bill, not a continuing resolution, and she doesn't know if a COVID relief package would also be included. This bill, just to give you an idea, this bill has to be agreed upon by the Senate and the House, by Republicans and Democrats, by Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell. This is nothing new. We've known this for months. We've known this every single year. They have to do the exact same thing. Right now, who knows if they're going to get anything passed? Because there's some things that Democrats want. There's other things that Republicans want. Right now, one of the things that Republicans want is $200 billion to go to finish the wall, the border wall between the United States and Mexico. Well, Democrats don't really want that. But yet, they might have to agree on it. Who knows? This bill has to be agreed upon by both parties. So, Republicans have as much to say on this as Democrats. So even though Nancy Pelosi says, I don't think we will put a stimulus package, a COVID relief bill in the government spending bill, it could happen. We never know. If this is what is needed, this could be what's done. And according to White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows earlier today, he said, I cannot guarantee a deal gets done to avoid a government shutdown. And this is kind of the consensus across or through the media, is that it's not looking like they will be able to come to an agreement. Mitch McConnell says that he hopes a deal is agreed upon by the end of this week. That's his statement, by the end of this week. It's 2 more days. 2 more days. With the way Congress works, how slow they work, with how little they get done per day, I highly doubt they are going to come to an agreement by the end of this week. But hopefully I'm wrong, but we will see. But in regards to the stimulus package, I get it. I know I just addressed more of the government spending bill. But at this point, the government spending bill has almost more of a priority to Congress than a stimulus package. It's hard to hear. It's hard to it's difficult to realize this is where we're at. That Congress does not want to shut down. They will do whatever they can to stay open, to keep the government funded, and that obviously makes sense. But at the same time, they're not willing to push things forward and really get a deal done when right now they don't want the government to shut down because, well, why would they? But yet they're making it where it's almost impossible for businesses to stay open, so they have to shut down. But where's the funding there? They're telling workers to go home, to work from home. But yet they're getting paid less to work from home. They're working less hours, so they're getting paid less, but where's the funding there? Where's the relief there? It's pretty much non-existent. Nancy Pelosi reiterated that it isn't a question about dollars. I just said this, but I want to make sure you really understand this. She reiterated that this isn't a question about dollars, but where the money will be spent. Today, also, Mitch McConnell posted a tweet this morning that states, for months, Republicans have tried to make bipartisan progress on huge areas of COVID relief where there's no disagreement. Vaccine distribution funds, another round of the PPP for hard-hit small businesses, but Democrats blocked it all over their unrelated liberal wish list. That was his exact quote, his exact tweet from Twitter this morning. But what you need to understand about this statement that is mostly true, okay? Democrats did block this, a skinny bill. They blocked the HEALS Act. They blocked some bills. Nancy Pelosi didn't really accept much. But what you need to understand about this statement that is mostly true is that Nancy Pelosi blocked many deals for multiple different reasons. It was not the same reason on every single issue. It was multiple reasons. For example, the stimulus package doesn't have the proper language. This pretty much came about when Steve Mnuchin was trying to accept the deal and say, okay, we agree to what Democrats want for testing, tracing, and treatment. Yet it came back to the language. And Nancy Pelosi said, well, we haven't heard from Steve Mnuchin in over a week regarding the language, getting back to us on how this is going to work. Yet Steve Mnuchin said, I gave you that stuff. I gave you that document the next day. What do you mean a week? I gave you my answer. I gave you our answer. I gave you our proposal. This is where we're at. And Nancy Pelosi was just delaying. But we knew going into the election, it was just a delay game. They wanted to get through the election because Nancy Pelosi was adamant that, yes, Democrats were going to win. They were going to sweep the Senate. They were going to win the presidency. Yet that's not looking like that's all going to happen. She also said, the stimulus package doesn't address putting money into the pockets of the American workers. Well, President Trump did that. President Trump signed an executive order back in August, the first couple weeks of August. He signed an executive order to put $300 per week into the pockets of the unemployed. That was something that he did, not Congress. Mitch McConnell didn't do that. Republicans didn't do that. Democrats didn't do that. Nancy Pelosi had nothing to do with that. It was President Trump. She also said the stimulus packages don't provide relief to states struggling due to COVID. And that is true. That Mitch McConnell's skinny bill didn't have anything going to state and local governments. He only wanted to offer like $150 billion. It was President Trump that was willing to offer $250 billion and go up as high as 300, maybe a little bit higher than that, as far as state and local government funding. And then obviously there were many more issues as well, and many more reasons why Nancy Pelosi could not accept a stimulus package, especially the one that was provided to her from Steve Mnuchin from the Trump administration and President Trump himself. So based on where both leaders are currently at and what they say they want to accomplish, it makes absolutely no sense why they can't come to an agreement right now for PPP funding and vaccines. It makes no sense. And if they both are on the same page for unemployment, Nancy Pelosi's been saying all along that we have to have $600 per week because that is what the American people need. They cannot survive off $300 per week. Yet, they have been surviving off $0 for months. Most states ran out of their money from FEMA, that $300 per week unemployment plus up that lasted 6 weeks. Most states ran out of that come the end of September. We're in November. We are in November. It's crazy to think that they can't come to an agreement when they see exactly how the American people are being treated and how many people are struggling just to survive. So, they should toss in an additional $300 per week for unemployment. They should do more. They should provide stimulus checks because both parties agree to stimulus checks. If both parties agree to $1,200 stimulus checks for filers, $1,200 stimulus checks to their spouses, and $500 for dependents, why can't we pass that? It makes absolutely no sense. The second stimulus check. I did a video this morning. If you haven't seen it, you haven't watched it, I'll link to it. It'll be the first link down in the description box below. But what I'm talking about is what I'm addressing is a report that came out, as multiple reports that have come out in recent days stating that Republicans and Democrats are on board with the Problem Solvers Caucus proposal, which, if you remember, there's 2 additional stimulus checks. So we'd get a second stimulus check, and if the economy is still where it's at today, it'd be a 3rd stimulus check. So 2 more. That would be great. Many people in Congress right now are urging both leaders to pass a smaller stimulus package, and as they get agreement. So it should be PPP funding, maybe a stimulus check, and money for testing, tracing, treatment, and vaccines. Let's pass that today. And then let's work on the rest as we continue to move forward. As we get those vaccines, as people are getting vaccinated, we can start to introduce more funding for state and local governments. School funding, they agree there. Let's pass that. But yet, we're waiting. This strategy, though, okay, I just want to point this out. This strategy could backfire for Democrats, and here's the reason why. Nancy Pelosi, many people believe Nancy Pelosi does not want to entertain the idea of a standalone bill or standalone bills because she is worried that Mitch McConnell will most likely pass these smaller pieces of legislation and promise her and Democrats, okay, if you do this, I promise you, or we will look into state and local government funding for in the range of $300 to $400 billion, soon after. Let's just get this passed. And so he's going to go and promise this and say, we're going to look into it. Don't worry, we are going to look into this. But then when these smaller pieces of legislation pass, the stimulus checks are going out. unemployment's being paid, liability protections is being done, school funding is being sent out, and other things like that. Once this stuff happens and the economy starts getting better, states and local governments are starting to see some more funding, more money from taxes coming in, most likely Mitch McConnell will be like, well, I get it. I said we were going to look into it, but now these states are starting to make some money. So why should we bail out a state that is making money? It's not really a bailout now. It's a free handout. And this is why most people are saying Nancy Pelosi will not entertain the idea of standalone bills yet. This is most likely the best way forward as of right now. So as of right now, what we know is the best thing for the American people is most likely not going to happen because it's not the best thing for Nancy Pelosi and her own agenda. And honestly, I could see this happening. The way Mitch McConnell has been lately, I can see that, yes, he would say, okay, we will address this in just a couple weeks. Let's get this done. And then he'll turn around and say, no, we just don't have time for that. We got to address these other issues. It's more important here. This is our priority. We will get to that later. I can see that happening. But the problem right now is it's not just the stimulus package. Yes, the stimulus package is extremely important, but many are worried that Congress won't be able to pass a omnibus spending bill. And that would prevent a government shutdown, which would mean the government would ultimately shut down. For how long? Again, nobody knows. But if the government shuts down, the likelihood of a stimulus package happening diminishes. It would be so small. It would almost be zero. Gordon Gray, he's a director of fiscal policy at the American Action Forum. He said this: I peg the odds as pretty low that Congress can pass an omnibus spending bill and a COVID-19 relief bill before the year's end. They're just not on the same page on COVID, and I don't see much incentive to agree to an omni. If this is true, then this would be the equivalent of throwing gasoline on a fire in an attempt to put out the fire. Congress is just, it's a mess. It's a mess. The whole government's a mess right now. And honestly, I don't know where Congress's head is at and why they can't see what's going on around the country, how the American people are being treated, what's going on. States are shutting down. Here in Washington State, we can't go and eat in a restaurant. Can't do it. Gyms closed. We can't go and, let's say I want to go into a retail store where normally it was like 50% capacity, now it's 25%. Well, what if I want to go buy a turkey so that my family, myself, my wife, and our 3 kids, our family of 5, can have turkey for Thanksgiving? And that is a luxury. That's a luxury because right now, many families cannot go and buy a turkey. They cannot afford a turkey. They cannot afford a turkey sandwich. Some people cannot afford the bread to make a turkey sandwich. And where's Congress? They don't care. So, right now, again, I don't know where Congress is at. But according to the Century Foundation, a new report that they just did estimates that roughly 12 million Americans will lose all their unemployment benefits on December 26th. Now, you probably heard that the unemployment, it runs out, it expires on December 31st. That's true. But December 31st is not a Sunday. So it will be the last Sunday. That's the way unemployment works. So on December 26th, or I believe that's a Saturday actually, on December 26th, that will be the last day for unemployment unless a deal gets done before this. And many do not expect this to happen. So what I can tell you right now is that as soon as 12 million Americans lose their unemployment benefits, it's going to create a ripple effect throughout the country. If you remember back in 2008, 2009, we saw this happen before. This was actually when Barack Obama was president, Joe Biden was vice president, and they had to usher us into a new type of economy, and they struggled to do that in the very beginning stages. But what's going to happen if 12 million Americans lose their unemployment benefits? House payments will be missed. Auto loans will go into default. Credit card companies are going to struggle. States will lose out on millions and millions of dollars of tax dollars. Localized spending will stop. People will stop going into retail stores to buy the new PlayStation or new Xbox because they can't afford it. They'll have to prioritize eating or playing a video game. Eating or buying toys. Retail stores are going to struggle. And most likely, when this happens, crime will go up. And all this is going to happen beginning in January. And the worst part about this is we will still be waiting for the new administration to be sworn in. Whether the new administration is the Biden administration or it's going to be the second term of the Trump administration. Right now, it's looking like it's going to be Joe Biden and the Biden administration. There's still a chance it could be President Trump and the Trump administration for a second term. But what we know right now is on January 21st at 12 o'clock, 12 noon, there will be a new administration sworn in. So what I suggest to everybody watching this, do not believe the stock market. It can be deceiving. Right now, people are struggling, businesses are struggling, yet they keep going up. The stock market's going up. Why? Some people have no clue. Many people are pouring all their money, all their savings into the stock market because it's a sure thing. It's going to go up. But here's the truth. The stock market will go up. If you leave your money in there for years, let's say 10 years, you're going to make money guaranteed. But if you leave your money in there, you put it all in there today, let's say $10,000 today, and you need the money in 2 months, there's a chance if COVID cases keep surging, your money it actually decreases. So I'm not saying it will, but do not believe those experts. Do not believe that the stock market is going to make you rich in the next couple of months. It can be deceiving. So what I say, do what you can to save some money and be prepared for the worst. Do not save all your money. Invest some. It is smart. But do not spend it all in the stock market. Do not waste it. Do not invest it all. Because if you lose it and you need it in a couple weeks or a couple months, at least it's there in a savings account or under your mattress or under your couch. Just make sure you have some money available. And one other thing is I recommend that you try and find a side hustle. If you do not have another way to make some income, whatever it is, find a way to make some income on the side. If you need help, I'll put a link along with the discount code down below. So if you want to learn how you can go and buy and sell products from thrift stores, I have a course. It's called Thrift Store Profits. Again, it'll be the second link down in the description box below. You can go and check that out. But what I teach you in this course, I give you over 67 profitable products you can go and buy at thrift stores and turn around and sell them for a major profit. For example, I'll just give you one. Okay, I will go and buy, those Ninja blenders? I will go and buy those Ninja blenders for like $9, $10 for the base and the actual blender, the housing with the lid. The lid itself is going to sell for about $20 to $30 on eBay. The blender is going to sell for about $20 to $30 itself on eBay. The base sells for about $40 to $50. So all in, I'm going to sell this thing for probably about anywhere from $90, if I do it all together, $90 to like $150 for a Ninja blender. That works. So pay $10, sell it for, let's say, $100, and you make the difference. That's one easy way to make some money. So if you're looking for a side hustle, check out that link in the description box below so that you can also get the discount as well. But that is what I got for you today regarding stimulus and regarding the future of the economy. So I just want to thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe so I can keep you updated on everything that's going on. And I'll see you guys on the next one.